my new project, Introversion. It's titled such because, well, I had to understand some people don't even know what that word means. So it's a condition of sorts. It's like when you prefer to be alone almost. And it kind of followed a pattern of some of my other mixtapes from going back 3 or 4 years. At war with myself, and this is kind of in that same lane. I'm doing an album called At Peace with Myself to follow this introversion. So it's not really a series as much as just a condition. It's the way it is. Like, I'm an independent artist. I'm like right now. I mean, I'm here by myself. I drove by myself. I'm in another state on my own, and it's like a microcosm of my career. And as much as anything, like most of my projects, it's a time capsule. So it's really reflective of my current state of mind, current agenda, and things that is really like reflective of things that are going on around me, and a result of me looking within because of it. Like, it could, some of the things may make another person crash out, but it pushes me in a creative direction, so I just try to crank out the material that reflects where I actually am in my life. And by design, I'm by myself. Well, I'm an only child. People probably don't know that, but maybe that plays into it. But Introversion was just me playing to the strengths of that, or what comes with my alone time. I don't know if the project is by design something that you should listen to by yourself, but I think like-minded people or people that deal with the same sorts of things or sort them out on their own will probably feel, my perspective on the tape. The other projects I did are mental warfare, post-traumatic stress, insomnia addict. All these dealt with like on some level, like mental health or mental health issues. It's something that's kind of, I don't want to say frowned upon, or it's almost like a taboo thing. Like, from where I come from, like the hood, the inner city or whatever, it's common. We just don't get diagnosed for the most part. Or people don't really, I think at a certain point we don't understand ourselves for clinging to other things to figure it out rather than, a diagnosis. And a lot of my stuff is self-diagnosed, but I still put it out there in music form. So pretty much it's a collage of Polaroids. And most of them were, like 5 out of 6 of them were recent, were taken probably the last 3 months or so, or during a window of time in which the project was recorded. There's one picture, an older picture of my partner, Red Dot. It's actually from one of my music videos, Shake Life, featuring Yo Gotti. It's from that video shoot, and that was probably 2-3 months before he began his sentence. And it was I think Don Tripp's on one picture, Kevin Gates on one picture, my mother and both of my grandmothers on one picture. There's a picture of a girl that I met, a young lady that I met at South by Southwest, and she was dealing with lung cancer a year ago, and I didn't end up playing South by Southwest. I had a paid date somewhere else and didn't make the trip. But she was reaching out on Twitter about a year and a half ago now, asking, was I gonna be in Austin, and I wasn't sure. And later she let me know what she was dealing with. She was gonna try to make it to my show with like a mask, to cover, to deal with the smoking and what she was dealing with the lung cancer. And I didn't end up playing South by in 2014. Well, I went this year, and I met her before the show, but it wasn't until after the show. We took a picture before the show. That's the picture that's actually on the cover. And after the show, she was kind of like choked up. She was a little emotional, and she went into explaining to me from how she had reached out a year before. And one thing I noticed immediately is that she had her hair had grown back. She had a full head of hair, and was surviving the fight with cancer. And she let me know that she made a doctor play my music at every one of her treatments. And she credited that as, contributing toward her recovery and whatnot. And it just really, really, really moved me. It kind of changed my life in a way. Because you don't realize the power of your own work, or sometimes it's hard to gauge your progress until it reaches you like in a real life way like that. So that's why that picture was on there. I mean, all those pictures, you know, people that have impacted my career. And whether in a way that was pronounced and people would know from the outside looking in, some of it was just near and dear to me. But yeah, it was all those pictures, it made up a collage that, you know, feed into why I am the way that I am. You know, dealing with those other artists even, we started working together at a time and it changed my career for the better. You know, it changes the whole dynamic or even the way I was working at the time. Don Tripp and I worked on Step Brothers 1 along the time over at War with myself in 2011, and I was ready to quit rapping at that time. And that project kind of turned that around. Gates and I, when we started working together, I was in not a block, I just wasn't making that much music. And it's like the first session that we had knocked out 3 or 4 songs, and I've released like 4 albums since then in less than 2 years. So, you know, I had to credit that. And even like seeing is believing, like from the time that we met and seeing the trajectory of his career, like it's inspiring. And, you know, some of it kind of goes without saying. Like I said, my mother, my grandmothers, and my partner Red died. It's layers to all that. But yeah, I wanted the collage to represent, you know, something personal, because my music is personal and personable. I can say that as well. Like, my music doesn't reach anybody like from the traditional means, radio, TV, and all that stuff. So I'm completely like in the know that I'm where I am because of the love that comes, you know, outward and from what the energy that I put out there. So I just try to be true to myself, and it's pretty straightforward, you know. Memorial Day, I want to be remembered, if that makes sense. It's a prime time for rap music releases. I mean, there's probably 5 to 10 artists that I listen to that have dropped music in the last week or so. And even going back, I can remember about 5 years ago, Smallz, when like you and Young Buck had the tape, and Jeezy had a tape out right then. And, I mean, it's just like, it seems like I can remember going to Miami for Memorial Day weekend and just kicking it with my partners. And it was always new music coming out then. I guess just priming people for the summer. I didn't necessarily make summertime music. I don't really adhere to that kind of mode when I'm doing what I do. But, I mean, timing was right. It was kind of impromptu, but once I had the shell of a project, that became my target day. And I throw a concert in where I'm from, in Nashville, Tennessee, the Sunday before Memorial Day. I threw for the 4th consecutive year this year. So I want to tie in with that. I actually sent the music out to the people that were at the concert first, directly to their email. So just kind of playing into how I announced it on stage. I had really never made a formal announcement that the tape was dropping. So, I mean, it's just something, it meant something to me in a few different quirky reasons, and I just put it together. It gave me something to work toward. I set out to make Introversion 5 to 7 tracks long, like an EP's length. And my original idea was for it to be all Jack beats, which was closer to the beginnings of my career, you know, the origins when I was still going by All-Star. Like, my first mixtape was pretty much all Jack beats. I didn't really have the resources. I didn't know that many producers, and, you know, instrumentals were kind of at my disposal. So, and this was a long time ago. But like I said, I'm a Jack 5 to 7 beats. I'm gonna try to find some the instrumentals to some songs that I like. And then along the way, I knew Don Tripp was dropping his album June 23rd, Godspeed. So I was like, well, I know people want to hear what we do together, or people looking forward to Step Brothers 3. Why don't we like kind of hold them over until then, and also we can kind of use this impromptu project as a means to promote Bros music. And so then I had the grand idea of putting them on all 5 to 7 songs or whatever. Well, somewhere along the way, I ended up with like 22, 23 songs. I trimmed it down to 20. It was supposed to be 21. I got a song with Killer Calion and Young Dolph, recorded down in Houston with them. And it just got lost in the shuffle, just putting the music together last minute. I mean, it'll surface sooner than later. But yeah, trying to do 5 to 7 jack beats, I ended up with 15 originally produced songs. And I mean, they all fit the same mode. I still ended up with Don Trip on 5 songs, but I got a few other features and the bulk of it solo work. So it wasn't really by design. It just happens like that, but I was inspired, so that's always a win. I'm not a glory hog. I'm not one of them people that gotta like constantly pat myself on my back, but I did. I mean, pretty much anything you see or hear from, like, in regards to me, involving me, it starts and ends with like me and like my camp, like the team that I'm a part of, grind hard, you know. And that's just what it is. It starts and ends there. Like I was actually putting a track list together while I was on the way to that concert, and I got that verse from Young Buck while I was on stage. When I got off stage, it was in my email. That was the last piece to the puzzle, if you will. I was recording at 5 in the morning the night before. So it's me, you know, like I said, I was multitasking. I was putting together the show list because I was doing a unique show because I was back home, and I was putting together the track list. And I had my whole staff with me while I was going to the show. Graphic designer, a couple video directors, DJs, the DJs that were on the tape. Of course, I had my staff working the show or whatever, but it's just, you know, it's a lot of layers to being a successful, working independent artist and keeping yourself relatively relevant. I mean, I consider what I got going like my audience almost like cult-like. I feel like you either know everything about my situation or a little to nothing. It's not that much of a middle ground, but satisfying and appeasing that crowd that knows everything is, you know, it's a challenge. But I have to stay on. Nobody can do it for me, kind of thing. Like, I'm the expert when it comes to marketing Starlito or getting Starlito's music to where it needs to be. Because, like I said, it's got such a personal and personable edge to it. So it's kind of fresh. It's kind of new to me. I mean, I don't know if that's for me to say. Like I said, I chose the order of the track list, or kind of weeded it out from a few other songs that didn't make the cut and whatnot. But that's always my goal. Like I like to set the mode or let you know like where I am or where I'm at with it, and what kind of music this is or what the project is about. I try to make sure that's understood early on. But I don't know. It's kind of world weary, if anything. Like I don't know how it flows to somebody else. Like, I mean, I know what kind of paces it for me as far as the decision-making process, but I couldn't call it, especially not. It's kind of recent. Like I said, it's fresh to me, and I finished it right before it came out, so it's not necessarily like putting an album out and you gotta get it turned in a little bit earlier so it can get in certain systems and run its course and get pre-ordered and et cetera, et cetera. It's a little bit different. Like my Black Sheep Don't Grin project I put out in December, it was more thought out and more of a concerted effort for it to have a flow or to start here and end up here. Because that was a memoir. This was just some random ruminations that just, you know, came from the life that I'm living. The single, if you will, like I don't believe in, I believe in honoring tradition, but I don't believe in adhering to it, like as far as, I don't play by anybody else's rules, so to speak. So it's a single because I put it out there before the tape came out and, you know, I made it available by itself. But the single was called TLC, which stands for Think, Laugh, Cry. Components to a complete day, if you ask me, almost. Or in the first verse, like that song means the world to me as an artist because it's self-reflective. It could have been on a project called Introspection, or it's very honest. Like, I'm reaching way back, like from childhood to adolescence to, it's a coming of age kind of record. The first verse is dedicated to my grandmother, and she was a person that supported, or that does. She is a person, I'm sorry. But early on supported what I was doing. I can remember when I was first trying to make a career of this and trying to take it serious. I dropped out of college, and she was actually a college professor at the college that I was going to. And she used to, stick her head in some of my classes and see that I wasn't there. I get a call about it later, but that's something else. Anyway, when I decided that the school ain't working, or not that it's not working, but I've got a interest in starting my career and going like full-time professional, and my schedule won't allow for that. I was kind of like, I didn't know how to say that to her, because she was a professor, and I figured that she would value that accordingly. And when I kind of brought the news to her, like, she was 100% behind me, and the first thing that she said was rap about love. Like, LL Cool J, that's why he can still, at the time, he still was more active as a recording artist and not the other entertainment endeavors. She's like, yeah, that's why he's still able to do what he does, because of what he raps about, because of love is timeless. And it was like, it blew me away. Like, I still remember like the conversation happened yesterday. And it was like, wow. I was afraid that she wouldn't support what I was doing. I mean, in her opinion, meant a lot to me. And I was like, wow, she encouraged me. And so from there, that was one of those things, and I never really had made much of a mention to it, even in private, but it just stuck with me. And as I grow up and I'm growing up in my music, it made sense. I was out in LA and I was writing a verse, and it brought me to tears, it moved me to tears, and it actually kind of pushed me in a direction for the second verse, which it begins still touching on a lesson that I got from her, and then I kind of go into a period of my career, my life, where I was grieving, and that kind of, I was grieving the loss of a close friend, and that kind of paced everything I was doing, down to decision making and otherwise, and even confronting that and coming to terms with that is maybe some years later, but to admit it, and even past that, things that you grow up and you never let go of, and to be able to do that in 3 minutes or so, it was like not as much of a purge, but it just felt like where I should be, personally and otherwise. And I sent her the record. I actually emailed it to my grandmother. I think that's amazing. She knows how to use email. But I emailed her the record, and she loved it. And so I put it out as a single the following day. It's produced by the colleagues. And that was like, okay, if never before, I knew right then, I'm about to put a project out. And it kind of starts there. I feel like all the songs with features are worth highlighting, like whether they're artists that people already know of, or some of them are my homies and people that are from where I'm from, and some of them I feel like deserve more light. And I don't work with anybody that I don't want to work with. And so all those, it's 5 songs with Don Tripp. The first song is featured on track 2 is called My Love, and it's produced by Greedy Money. It's actually the same track from Yo Gotti's Fuck 'Em from the Concealed mixtape. And the producer is from Nashville, and it's one of my homies. It's his little cousin, and I actually, like, the link came, kind of direct from that way. And I had that track, like, a while ago when I was working on the Black Sheep Don't Grin album. And I heard the Gotti tape, I was like, oh, I had that beat. And that happens to me a lot, where I'm sitting on a beat and then I hear somebody else do something with it, and I like the song. And for a while I was playing around with it, and was kind of stuck on, sometimes when a lot of artists jack beats, they rap exactly like the original song or like where it comes from. And so I guess at some point I challenged myself to make it my own record, or let me approach it, just, you know, become one with the music and not draw the inspiration from the original record. And that's why we titled it My Love as opposed to Fuck 'em Freestyle or otherwise. It was just playing off the vocal sample, and Don Tripp and I like talk about like man and woman stuff, like relationship stuff. Like we rappers, but you know, we deal with women outside of the rapper groupie context, and on a real human level. And that's a really, like, I think that's a really dope song. I don't look at it as a freestyle. I feel like we made it a song. And that was actually the first feature from Don Tripp, like actually in order of how it was recorded. He's on the Little Bit, the K-Camp freestyle. Cool story with that one is K-Camp actually sent me the instrumental personally. Like there was a bunch of remakes and all that out there. But we, you know, the camaraderie amongst artists, I thought that was cool. It's important, like people support each other or tip their hat and salute, and otherwise, like, I think we got like a mutual like fan thing amongst each other. Like we respect and appreciate what each other do as artists. And so he's like actually sent me the beat for me and Tripp to rap on. And there's a video out for that one too. We're on the Sauce Twins or Sauce Walkers, Too Legit It. We did a freestyle on there. Don Tripp jacked my Don't Do It beat. That's from Black Sheep Don't Grin. That's a record I got with Kevin Gates and Young Dolph. And it was just kind of like, I got a lot of feedback from that song. Like, where's Don Tripp? Why isn't Don Tripp? I think people kind of accept us as like collectively, or a few more artists too, as like a new underground, or like people embrace us, all of our music. Like we share a lot of the same fans. So it was two parts. I was wanting to let people know, like, okay, or the people that are paying the most attention, that I'm paying attention to y'all and y'all's feedback. So, and also it was like a friendly wager we had on them Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, because Tripp don't really gamble like that, but we were in the studio while the fight was going on. And so it was like, hey, if Floyd wins, you got to rap on my beat kind of thing. It was, like I said, friendly or whatever. I think he probably, from the sound of the record, he probably would prefer that Floyd won, because he did his thing on there. That's and that's 4. So what's the other song, the Tripp song? Oh yeah, on Check. So Young Thug's Check. It's a freestyle we did there. That was the second song that we recorded together. And it's like just staying in tune. Like even though I'm in my own world, or I'm kind of sometimes get lost in my own brain or whatever, and it kind of pushes me into a space where I'm alone or in my own world, so to speak, or in my own space at least. It's important to like keep your ears to the streets and like know what's hot and what's moving, but also, you know, that awareness that like our audience made us. Like Step Brothers is the biggest thing that Don Tripp or myself has done put together. You can't take any of our solo work and combine it, and it's got the energy of the Step Brothers. So it's like knowing that was another big part of it. Like we've released 2 full-length projects, and it was all original. We had to get the buzz going, like a fire starter for Step Brothers 1 back in 2011. We did a track called Karate in the Garage, and it was like 5 jack beats, like a jacking for beats put together on one track. And that kind of like set the tone, or like let people know like we're a group and this is what we're doing. But past that, like we haven't rapped on anybody else's beats. And both of us are artists that like come from jacking beats, like we're rappers, and bar for bar, like we stand tall, and we come from jacking beats. And I mean, of course, building our own brands and trying to get to the point where people love our music as much as people like these other songs that we've rapped on over the years. It was staying conscious of that. Like that's what got us to this point. Let's not just abandon it because our profile is raised. So that's what a big part of that. It was about that. Like that's why by design Trip is on other people's beats on my mixtape, because it's a mixtape. I mean, like I said, I put out 3 solo albums and Step Brothers 2 was an album. So it's like it don't have to be, it don't have to be like that every time, I'm still who I was that got me here, and kind of sharpening your swords at the same time. Kevin Gates is on 2 tracks. He's on one, Yeah, produced by Cell Sizzle. It was like a homeboy of mine. Like we work and do music together. That's my homies from Nashville. And the other one is it's titled Studios and Gas Stations Coming Soon. And that's kind of, I guess, a premonition for a collaborative project. I mean, check that track out. It'll, hopefully give you a teaser or a tester for that. I mean, we got a ton of music out there together, so I definitely think there's a demand for that. And it's one of the people I really enjoy doing music with. My partner Landlord out of Las Vegas, he's on the track Alone in Vegas, Pusha T track that I was just always like fond of because I've lived in Vegas at different times and spent a lot of alone time in Vegas. So from the first time I heard that song, I was like drawn to it, and we, did our 1-2 on that. I don't really want to talk as much track for track about the solo songs or the songs that I'm on by myself. I just hope, you'll find your way to it and check them out. There's a ton of those that don't have anybody else on them. Hot Boy Nitty's on a song called How I'm Living, produced by D Rich. Like I said, it's just, I feel like favored and fortunate to be able to work with people that I enjoy working with. So I try to do that as much as the solo work, because it keeps me centered, working with people that I'm fond of their work. A lot of times it's inspiring. It's like, yeah, it's even better when we put it together. Like, I like what you do, you like what I do, let's make it happen. So the other feature is Robin Raynell, and she's my favorite singer. We actually have known each other since we were children. Our grandmothers are actually friends, so this is just another degree of separation from the cover and otherwise. But she's featured on 2 songs. We recorded both of them in the same session. They just came together. It was like, it's a really organic type. I mean, that's an often used word, but it's truly that. Like I said, my sessions spill over into the wee hours of the night because they're productive. It feeds into, it plays off the fact that I have issues sleeping, like see the insomniac type, but past that, like I said, you're just working with people that you like working with. It's just things come together like this. No music was forced. Like I'll just leave the studio before I force a song out or, half do something. The last song I recorded was the 56 freestyle, which is Future's 56 Nights. It's my interpretation of that. This was one of my favorite songs for a long time. I had like an 8-week stretch. My calendar was booked for 8 weeks, and that's 56 days, if you're familiar with that. So around the time I got hip to that song, I went on the stretch on the road. And so like I was always listening to that song on the way to shows. It was of course nighttime, and I just like the song. I mean, it's one of my favorite artists right now, period, I guess. But the weird thing, like I said, that was the last song I recorded, and that wasn't by design. It's the next to the last track. My outro is an original song called 10,000 Hours, produced by Street Symphony. But with the 56 freestyle, that was actually the first beat that I was trying to record to start the tape. So that's, I guess, a fun fact. It took me 6 weeks to freestyle on the beat, like trying to write to it. It was back to what I was saying on like with the My Love. I'm not satisfied just getting on somebody's beat and rapping how they rap, because it's kind of insulting to, you know, what they've done. Like, I mean, 9 times out of 10, if a song moves me enough to want to rap on the beat, I probably like it, or it's probably some appeal to it. So I feel like the worst thing I could do is to try to do exactly what they already did to it. So, like, I like the song so much every time I play the beat in the studio, something would trigger it, or I start rapping the original song on myself, and like I said, I just leave, or I just cut it off and go to the next song. So it was just the last session, I had finished the It's Okay song with Robin, and I was like, shit, I still haven't rapped on that 56 Nights beat. And it was like 5 in the morning, engineer was half asleep at the console, and I could tell he was ready to go. But it was like, I knew this was gonna be my last session before the tape drop kind of thing, because I had a concert the next night. And I just went in the booth and came out with the freestyle as you hear it. And so it was that was actually, I said at the beginning of the song, like, Chance with the finish line. That was my engineer, Chance. And it was very much that. I was finishing up the tape, and I'm definitely satisfied with the freestyle. It's one of my favorite things to listen to. I won't say it's my favorite track or whatever, but it's one of my favorite things to listen to, probably because it's technically the newest or the latest recorded. But also just knowing where I was when I started the tape to, the actual conclusion, and that was a conclusive verse, if you will. So, yeah, that's something that people wouldn't know. That I wouldn't say I struggled with it, but it was just one of those things I just couldn't get it done until the absolute 25th hour, till the last minute. It was a buzzer beater, I guess. So that was, you get the finished product, you wouldn't often know the construction or how things put themselves together.